Hey everybody, what is going on? Serial Overdrive here, and today I'm playing Entropia Universe. What we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be out hunting, but we're not really tracking the profits. We're not going to be talking about what really I'm making or anything like that off this hunt. We're just going to be out here hunting. This is going to be the backdrop for just talking a little bit, right? Because I know previously I was doing those COVID-19 sort of things, right? I was talking about the virus and I was doing those website things and all that, and really at this point the numbers are unimaginable, right? That was really good loot right there, not bad. The numbers are high. Okay, there's over 200,000 cases. It's crazy. And that's sort of what I want to talk about, right? Because we've got a lot of stuff going on right now, and a lot of you guys are probably just a little bit younger than me, so you don't remember the last recession. You don't know what happened then. A lot of you guys probably weren't even, probably a lot of you guys don't remember 9/11 too. So there's probably, there might be some advice that I can give that'll be helpful, okay? Because there's a lot of craziness in the world right now, and I feel like just talking about it sometimes helps. So that's what I'm going to try and do in this video. We're going to be playing Entropia Universe, but really you can put this over any game. You can just listen in the background. I'll talk about the loot a little bit just to keep that style going, but that's about it. Anyways, yeah, so if you guys haven't been following the news, we've basically got two sort of world-changing things going on. Not world-ending, world-changing, okay? We've got a new virus out in the world. It's called COVID-19. It has a very high death rate and an even higher hospitalization rate. So that's sort of the big boogeyman, the thing that you've really got to worry about here with this thing, because just because you're younger doesn't mean you can't spread it. So if you're younger, that does mean that you can still spread this virus. And just because you're younger, you might be able to survive the virus, but it doesn't mean you're not going to need to go to the hospital to get treated. And if you have to do that, it's going to be tough, because if you look everywhere it's hit, the hospitals get overwhelmed pretty damn fast. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do to take care of yourself, right? Obviously, wash your hands, all of that. But one of the things I see a lot of people doing that they probably don't realize is, stop making fun of this thing, right? Stop acting like it's a joke. Stop acting like this is some sort of conspiracy. Stop acting like this is all going to blow over, because the longer people keep acting like this and just keep denying the reality of things and what's going on, the worse it's going to get for everybody. Because there's a lot of people out there that, even though you and me we might know, hey, we're just joking about this, right? It's obvious that we're treating this seriously and not going to go to the bar tonight or something like that. But if you keep tweeting it, there's a few people that are going to believe that. They're going to go ahead and act like everything's normal, and they're going to just continue to spread the virus, okay? So we need to sort of get a grasp on this whole thing of just making fun of it and treating like it's not something serious, because it really is. And if you think you know better, get real. There's no country that hasn't really been affected by this thing. Countries all across the world who completely disagree with each other and hate each other are shutting down. From Iran to the United States to Europe to China are shutting down, along with some of the biggest companies in the world. And if you think you know, ooh, nice, we got our nice little thing here. So I'm going to go with weapons handling. And all right, anyways, if you think you know better than some of the world leaders and the CEOs and all these people out there who have a whole team of experts and people just devoted to giving them good advice, how could you know better than these people, right? This is a world-changing event that's going on right now, and some of the brightest minds in every field imaginable are working on this, whether it's people from Google working on setting up neural networks to, I don't know if they're setting up neural networks, but no matter what, and I can tell you this because I'm inside of a tech company, no matter what, every company right now is talking about this, and they're all talking about A, this is going to be bad, and B, how can we help make things better? That's the discussion right now. It's how can we keep things sane? Okay, and companies are taking huge losses to do this, and it's not because they think the economy is tanking or anything like that. I mean, that's part of it. But a big part of it is because they see that there's a very real problem. And yeah, if you honestly don't think this is a problem, you've really got to get your head out of your ass, because it is a problem. I'm not even going to debate that down in the comments or anything like that. This is a problem, period. It's not the flu. It's not a cold. This is big. And it's because it can overload the hospital systems, right? This is a virus that basically once you get it, what's going to happen is you might need to go to the hospital. Like 10% minimum of people that get this virus seem to need to go to the hospital. Probably that number might be lower, but whatever it is, it's a big number because every hospital has been overwhelmed by it. So like, if you've got to go to the hospital, even if you're not going to die from it, you're still taking up beds. And when you take up beds, it makes things harder. And most hospitals already are not operating at like 0% capacity. They don't have the capacity to handle pandemic numbers. What that means now is if you're going to go out and get in a car accident, if you're going to get injured by sort of anything, it's gonna be iffy, right? Like you're gonna go into that hospital and there is a chance they won't be able to treat you. Okay, there's a chance that if you have a heart attack right now, you're gonna go into the hospital and then they'll fix you and they'll send you right back home, and that's that, right? Like you're not gonna go to the ICU. You're gonna skip going. You're gonna go right home because they don't have room to keep you. And then there's also the chance that like you were in the hospital. There's a chance you could get the virus just from doing that. It's very serious, and people have to stop like dodging quarantines and trying to do all sorts of ridiculous stuff because that's not helping the situation, right? Just because you got out doesn't mean anything. If you're sick, even if you're not sick, the best place you can be is in a quarantine because people are no longer spreading it there, right? Like it doesn't matter. Like if you work somewhere, there's no way you're going to be able to go to work if you dodge the quarantine or not. Like you've got to deal with the quarantine, okay? And we've all got to start playing it safe. Like if you've got a cold, like I've got a bit of a cold right now, and you know what? I have not gone out for 5 days now. Like maybe like I'll go for a walk in the park when it's pretty much empty, but that's it. Like I'm working from home. I'm not going out and doing all that. Now I understand for some of you guys that is not possible, and that's really unfortunate because of just your employers and all of that. And that's the other thing. That's the other problem that we've got here, right? What this virus is probably going to do is it's going to cause a economic recession, okay? Like that's already started. The stock market's crashed, but it's not a recession until you have like, so many months or whatever, so many quarters of no growth. So I think technically we're not in a recession, but the market's in a bear state and there's a lot of people being laid off and unemployment numbers are going up. So it's looking like we're headed into a recession. What does this mean? Like, if you guys, I don't know, if you can't remember back to 2008, basically what happened, banks did some magic sort of wore out and everything crashed. This meant that a lot of people who'd overborrowed, who were paying a lot of money to do things like, for their mortgage, for their cars, for things like that, were just swept under the rug. Because this is the thing, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, the second you lose that paycheck, you're screwed. And normally, in a good economy, generally what these people are doing is if they lose their paycheck, they just go out and find another job ASAP, and they can just sort of squeak by with credit cards and everything like that. But when there's a recession, finding another job is hard because they're like, if a company's laying people off, they're not hiring anybody else usually. Like there are some instances where this happens, but it's very rare. So generally, like for instance, for me, okay, we'll use my example. I'm new where I work, changed jobs, not the best thing to do, but it happened. It happened, months and months, probably like a year ago almost now. But yeah, changed jobs. Seemed like a good change. Salary's better, everything's better. Market was doing great, got the job, bing, bang, boom, we're good. So what happens now is I'm the newest person on my team, right? Like there's no one newer than me. Everybody else has been there for a couple of years longer. What this means is they have more experience with the code base, and most likely because the way layoffs work is generally what's going to happen. Can I take these things? Probably can. Generally what's going to happen is whoever's in charge is going to go, why can't I do, what is going on here? All right, that's not what I wanted to do. But yeah, generally what's going to happen is, I don't even have it. All right. I've got to go back to the trade terminal and get my vigilante armor. But yeah, generally what's going to happen is the CEO is going to go to teams and they're going to say, hey, we need you to cut your size by X%. Those teams can do it any way they want, but generally the way that they're going to do it is they're going to start laying people off, right? Like it's the easiest thing to do. There are other things they can tweak, less travel, stuff like that, but generally you're going to have to lay someone off. And the easiest way to lay people off is literally to lay people off like the first ones to come and get laid off. It doesn't, at this point, it probably doesn't matter if I work, 5 extra hours a week or something like that, because there's still, if they still need to lay someone off, I'm going to be the low man on the totem pole and I'm going to get picked for that. That is how it works. It's unfortunate, but that's literally just how this stuff usually works. Nothing we can do about that, right? Generally, when people are getting laid off, there's nothing they did wrong. There's no magic fix that they could have done. It doesn't mean that they're a shitty employee. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that something bad happened and things had to change. And one of those things that had to change was their employment status. And it's unfortunate, okay? But it just is what it is. And there's generally nothing these people can do about it. So, if you are in the situation where you do get laid off, you shouldn't be stressed about it because everybody's going to understand why it happened. This is not like you got laid off, 5 months ago when the economy was doing great or something like that, or you got laid off for work issues or something like that. You got laid off because a business made bad choices. You got laid off because shit hit the fan. Most businesses weren't prepared for it, and they had to cut the size of their team because shareholders or someone demanded it. And that's that. There's no solution, right? It doesn't mean you're a bad employee. It doesn't mean anything about you. It doesn't reflect you at all. And you shouldn't feel bad about it because there's, millions of people that are going to go through this. And there's nothing that they did wrong and there's nothing that you did wrong. But it still is a reality. It still means a paycheck isn't going to be coming in. So here's what I want to talk about mainly. And it took me 10 minutes to get here because I want to make sure everybody knows where I'm coming from. How can you deal with a layoff, right? Like, how can you deal with a recession? How can you prepare? I'll kill this one for this guy. Now, it's not easy, right? Like, it's tough. But here's what you've got to do, right? While you've got a job, assuming you still have a job right now, you need to start saving, right? You need to start cutting back, figuring out where you can save, where you can't save, what you need, what you don't need. So, for instance, if you're going out to eat every night, hey, we're in the middle of a quarantine, so that's not a good idea. But if we weren't, okay, this is how you prepare for a recession. If we weren't, and the recession starts, you stop going out to eat because that's easy money that you can save right there. That's money that you're putting on the table every week that you don't have to, okay? And if you don't put it on the table, you put it right back in your pocket. So when you're playing a game like Entropia Universe, maybe you stop depositing for a little bit until you feel secure with where you are, right? Until you've got some decent savings. If you're buying, loot boxes or loot crates and other video games or doing something ridiculous like that, maybe it's time to stop, right? If you're going to the movies every week, maybe you want to start using Netflix. Like, there's a ton of things that you can probably change that aren't going to really affect you that much, but they're going to save you some serious cash. Like, stop going out for coffee and just buy some instant coffee, right? Like, don't cut your diet completely. Don't go down to like a rice and flour type of diet or anything crazy like that. But, stop buying caviar and start buying, pizza. Something like that. Simple stuff, right? Stop ordering Domino's, make your own. Stuff like that. Stop spending a ton of money. If you're going to buy a new car, put that purchase off for a little bit. Make sure you've got a decent amount of savings and make sure that you can survive the times that are coming. Because here's the thing, for a lot of us, for a lot of people sitting here listening to this video, probably for me too, right? Like, I'm not immune from this, okay? Like, just because I'm the one talking here does not mean that I'm immune. Times are going to get tough for a lot of us, right? Like, things are going to get hard, and we're going to have to make it through it, right? Because that's what we do, right? And everybody is going to make it through. None of us are going to end up, hopefully none of us are going to end up homeless on the streets, but even if you do, there's ways out of that too. You just got to keep your head up and keep pushing forward. But yeah, just cut back on the things you don't need to be spending on. And one of the things is, like, part of the reason I'm saying this is because we're playing a game like Entropia Universe that takes in a good bit of money. Obviously spend what you can. If you've got money saved up and you're doing fine, then keep spending like you are, right? Like, if you look at your bank account and there's $200K sitting there and you're spending $50K a year, theoretically, you could survive 4 years off of your savings without making any money, right? Like, you're pretty good then, right? Like, you're not in a bad place. You can get a job in that time and you'll be fine. But if you're looking at your bank account right now and you're saying, I've got a 1 month runway, I've got 1 month to find a job, if I lose it, it's time for you to like get real and start cutting some expenses, because it's gonna, long term, this is seriously gonna help you out. Okay, it's a good habit to get into. Ooh, nice loot there. It's a good habit to get into in general, and it's a good practice, especially now, because what's gonna happen is it's gonna get harder for us to find jobs, and we just need to be able to weather that storm. That's what this is. This is all about weathering the storm. If you know anything about prepping or anything like that, this is prepping, but prepping financially. You're not prepping for the zombie apocalypse. You're prepping for your own personal financial apocalypse. And by doing that, you're making sure that everything's ready and that everybody around you can be protected, you know? And that's what I want to make this video about. That's what I want to talk about. Because right now, everybody's probably sitting in quarantine. They're worried about the virus, but we've got to worry about some other stuff too. And most likely, a lot of us who keep our jobs through this thing, when this quarantine ends, like, good times, they may or may not come. But if they don't, we need to be ready for that. And this is a perfect time to save money because we're all stuck inside, which means we're probably all saving money, right? We're not spending. That's a good thing. But yeah, we need to just up it a little bit and make sure that we're putting ourselves in the best position possible. Let's heal up here. And that's what I want to do. That's what this is about, right? This whole video is just about helping everybody and talking through this and just figuring out like the game plan, okay? So here's my plan. I'm gonna lay this out for you guys. I guess you could say I came of age in the middle of a recession, the 2008 recession, right? Like I remember 9/11. I remember how that went, and I remember recession, 2008 mainly. But I can tell you, I remember dot-com boom and stuff like that, but 2008 made a big impression on me. Same with 9/11. I can tell you right now when I walk the streets, it's very, I don't know how it was in New York, but in other big cities, this is very similar. Like, people are scared. And on top of that, you've got the market crashing like never before. Like, that's adding to it. It's a crazy time. It does feel the same. I hate to say it, but it feels weird, man. It feels very weird. And this is like, it feels like there's a war going on in a way, right? Like, there is a war going on, but there's no enemy, right? Like, this isn't, George W. Bush isn't pointing us at Iraq and saying these guys did it. It's just, no one did this, really. Like, there are external causes, and obviously there's things that could have been done to prevent it, but this is just a thing that happened, and we've got to deal with it, and it sucks. What was I saying? But yeah, it's a weird time, and a lot of people, I think, they're looking at the here and now, and they're not planning for the future. And planning for the future means, like, putting off some big purchases until you know what's going on, until you know that you've got a job. I was thinking about buying a new gaming computer, right? Like, up the content. That's not going to happen anymore. I'm going to save on to hold that money. I was actually looking at cars. I was going to buy not a new car, but a used car. I think I just died there. My game lagged out a bit. I was thinking like, I should buy a new car. Like, that would be, not new car. New car for me, old car for, whoever I'm buying it from. But yeah, like a used car. I'm like, oh yeah, that would be a good purchase. Like, I really need that. It would be great for me to get around, and that purchase is going to hold off for a couple months while we figure out what's going on and see how the world reacts to this. Just stuff like that, basically, I'm putting on hold. I'm not giving up my apartment and moving to a cheaper apartment, but, if they raised the rent on me, I'd definitely consider it. I haven't been going out for coffee anymore. Part of that's because of the whole quarantine thing, but stop buying that and stop buying coffee. Yeah, stop going out to eat as much, and just sort of pulled the savings, pulled the saving accounts, looked at them, seen sort of where I was at, and I'm pretty good, right? Like, I'm stable. Like, I could last a couple years without a job, no big deal. So I have some relief there. Just sort of took a look at everything and figured out, like, all right, so what point am I going to cut into the 401k? What point am I going to need to do this and that, and how long could I last? And sort of tabled that all out and figured, like, okay, well, how long could it take me to get a job? Like, probably, honestly, even as a computer developer, the salaries are higher for that. So if I wanted to maintain sort of my same salary range and everything like that, I'd probably be waiting. I could be waiting up to 2 years, right? So looked at the bank account, like I have enough money for that, so we're good there. Now, what else can I do? The other thing I wanted to do is get a lot of cash free, because what's going to happen too, and this happens, at the end of every recession, you've got people who are going to come out of it kings. Okay, this is a time that the people who get rich make moves. And the key thing to do right now is either you can trade options, you can invest against the market or with the market depending on how you see things. And there's some huge money to be made there, but it's going to be, let's pull out the healing device here, but it's going to be tough to do it. There's a lot of swings and everything like that, and it is ridiculously hard to time things. I've got a couple grand that I'm just playing around with, trying to time things out and see what happens, but I would not put my whole savings into it, because again, going back, we need a couple years now, probably saved up just in case the worst of things does happen, and we need to be able to live and exist without a salary, right? So keeping that in mind, I figured out, like, okay, let's put a couple thousand to play with, just see if I can make some money with puts and betting against the market, betting with it, and all of that. And in addition, what I've done is I've set a lot of money aside that's just sitting there. Right now it's in 6-month bonds. There's a whole strategy for that, but right now it's in 6-month bonds, but I just want it sitting in cash, because at the end of the recession, everything is going to be at an not all-time low, but it's going to be at a low, right? If you want to get into companies, if you want to buy stocks, if you want to buy a house, if you want to buy anything, the end of a recession, the bottom of a recession, that's probably the best time to do it. Now, no one is going to time it correctly. No one's going to get it 100% right, or most of us won't. But even if you can get it 90% right, if you can buy near the bottom, you're getting an amazing deal. So I've been looking at that. I've been trying to say, like, okay, how long does the average recession last and all that? And basically what we're looking at is this thing's probably going to last 1 to 3 years, I'd say. That's a pretty wide range, but that's my guess at it, 1 to 3 years. So probably what I'm going to be doing now is putting a lot of stuff in cash, because bonds are paying shit right now. Letting it sit, and then in a year, I'm probably going to start looking at buying some real estate and getting back into the stock market. Now, for the stock market, probably sooner than that, once I see it hitting some really heavy lows, that's when I'm going to start dollar cost averaging in. But with real estate, definitely, I'm going to be waiting until I feel like the bottom's really hit, because real estate, the prices generally lag behind the market. And once we've gotten, if this is a recession, once we're a little bit into it, prices are probably going to be pretty good, and that's the time to buy. I can hopefully buy some real estate, get some good deals, and not just walk out of this being okay, but walk out of this better than I went into it. And that's, if you can do that, that's great, but yeah, it's all about just lowering what you're spending, keeping some cash so if things do go bad, you can survive, and knowing that just having that cash there, even if things don't go bad, you're going to have some money that you can buy some really good deals with later on down the line. I don't know. I hope this helped. I don't know if what I'm saying makes any sense. I don't know if what I'm doing makes any sense, but I feel like it's good to talk about this stuff, right? It's good to get people thinking about a game plan and what they're going to do in scenario B and C and all of that, and how they're going to react to things, because the last thing I want for anybody, myself, you guys, whoever, right, is to walk out of this just not knowing what's going on, to be completely lost. And I know a lot of you guys, it's one of those things, you've never dealt with the recession, so it's new to you, and it's mostly new to me. But I've just, when everything was going bad, my parents sort of sat me down in 2008. I was old enough to understand all this. I was still, new to the markets and everything like that. But they're like, hey, times are tough right now, and here's what you got to do. You got to stop spending ridiculous amounts on ridiculous things. You've got to grow up a little bit and just hold on to what you've got. Play some free video games, and just take it easy. Just don't go nuts with the spending, and then when everything's done, that's when you want to buy. So it happened. I did that. I wasn't in quite the position I probably wanted to be in, but I was in a good position when everything ended, and I was able to walk away from the recession, buy myself a decent enough piece of property, and I did pretty good up until now. And hopefully at the end of this, we can all walk away from this just a little bit better off. Now, obviously, there are real health concerns, and right now, that's first and foremost. We've got to worry about this virus. But in the back of your mind, just sort of prepare for what's coming so it doesn't catch you off guard, because that's important, I think. At least to me, it is. Anyways, that's sort of all I've got to say. I know I don't know if this video was even worth making, to be honest. I don't know if this was a great video, if you guys loved it, if you guys hated it or whatever, but hopefully it just gets you thinking, and you're prepared for what's going to come. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Honestly, this is one of the things. A lot of people go back to my old videos where I say like bad shit's going to happen, and they're like, you were so wrong about this. How do you feel? And it's like, I feel pretty good. Right? Like if I put my money against the stock market and then everything bounces back and life is great, it means I probably get to keep my job, and overall I'm ecstatic, right? Like, best case scenario for me, lose a couple $1,000s that I put in puts, just bet against the market and keep my job. I'd love that. That's an amazing scenario, right? And if I lose my job, at least I've got some sort of money against the market to hedge my bets a little bit and sort of hold me over just a little bit better until I can get back on my feet. But that's the reality of it. I'm sorry that this is a little bit more depressing than usual. I know you guys tune in to hear me talk about video games and all that cool stuff, and right after this video, we're going back to the status quo, right? We're going to be talking about video games. We're going to be doing I'm going to talk about this robot event, right? Like, I've been out here, we switched over to robots at some point when I was talking, and this is a really cool event that MindArc's got going on. So this is a great one to get out to and spend some time, right? Like, we're all stuck in quarantine, and you know what the number one thing to do when you're stuck in quarantine is? Or maybe not number one, but my number one thing to do? Play video games, right? So, like, that's what we should be doing right now. Like, planning for the future, but in the present, let's just hang out in quarantine, spend our 14 days in, not even jail, right? Spend our 14 days in quarantine just relaxing, playing some games, having some fun, and shooting the shit. So what I'm going to be doing, just those of you guys that want to, they've been listening, let's get you guys a good ending here. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to try and lengthen up the videos I'm making, because I know it does get boring. Like, you're just sitting there, you want content to watch. So I'm going to try and put out better content, longer content, stuff that's just can be consumed more of a podcast style thing and less of the, hey, this is Serial Overdrive and this is how to do this. I'm still going to put out those how-to videos because there's people getting into all sorts of new video games right now, and I can actually see that with the numbers. There's a lot more people playing video games right now than there were before. But yeah, like, I'm going to still put the how-to videos out, but I'm going to try and make the Entropia Universe stuff just a little bit longer so you guys can actually sit down and listen to this for a little bit more time, and, it'll keep you occupied, give you something to do, and, while Netflix and all these major studios are cutting back productions, Serial Overdrive Studios is going full bore ahead, I guess. No more commute for me. I'm working from home, so that's a thing, right? That's, one plus. I'm saving on subway costs. I'm not going out to eat as much. I'm sitting at home baking bread, playing video games right after work, and life isn't that bad, Everything's gonna be a-okay, and I'm sure it will be. I stand by those words, and I stand by them firmly. Serial Overdrive 2024. I'm gonna run for president against Kanye West. Make sure you vote for me. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hit the like button if you'd vote for me as the U.S. president, or maybe world president, right? Like, we haven't had one of those, and I think I do a damn good job at it. So, like button to support my bid, and thank you for watching. Until next time, peace.